Hey there, my Powerbook 3 fans. It's your girl Barbie J here, and we are talking about Raising Kanan season 2, episode 5. What happens in the Catskills? Now, this was another good episode, and y'all know I'm playing catch up. And by tomorrow, you should have episode 6, and we will be all caught up. That's right. Your girl Barbie J is catching up. Y'all know she's been ill, she's been sick, and she's trying her best to give y'all what you're asking for. Anyhow, let's get started. So it starts with a crackhead, or a basehead. I don't know what they call him back then. He's stopping by the project spot to get a hit, some drugs and find out, that they are shut down. And he isn't happy about that at all. So Marvin gives him some and tells him to let everyone know that they'll be open later. And we learn that Marvin has opened up that wall. That's why this is all going on, because Marvin had to open up that wall that had that dead body in there decomposing, and it's smelling badly through the walls and everything. And we all knew when Marvin did that in season 1 that at some point that body was going to start stinking. It was killing everybody. They spraying Lysol and everything, ain't even helping at all. And so we switch over to Rock. She's waking Kanan up and telling him that they're going camping in the Catskills. And Kanan is definitely not happy about that. And mainly because Jukebox is not going and it's just him and Rock. And he's saying that they not, he feeling some kind of way about her right now because, what's going on between them. So Kanan tells Juke that he did the same thing she did with her mother. And he looked that cop right in his eyes. And it felt way too familiar, he said. But, Juke told him that lying-ass cop is just trying to get in your head and to get at Rock, and she said, don't listen to him. And then when Kanan leaves her room, Juke listens to the tape that Crown gave her, and she hears Ziza singing the song that she herself, Juke, wrote for herself. And she gets upset and throws the cassette tape down. I was like, that is so messed up. We'll get into that part in a minute. And then we have 2 white mob guys in a car watching Rock's house. And one of them, he very racist, and he's calling black men, licorice, and mention what he would do if one of them was tried to talk to his daughter, because the other white guy in the car with him is saying that he has 2 daughters the same age as the black neighbor. And he's like, what he would do if that was his kid. No, So one guy is pretty laid back. The other one, big time racist. So they see Marvin go inside Rock's house. And then when Rock and Kanan are getting into the car to leave, Marvin won't let Kanan put the bags in the trunk. He said, what's the use of having the trunk? And he said, Nick, put it in the back seat. And the reason that is because what? They got the dead body in the trunk, So then Marvin, while he's closing the door, looks up to the window and he sees Jukebox staring at him. Then she turns and walks out of sight, and Rock drives off and the mob guys follow her. But I'm sitting there going, how do you not see a car with 2 white men sitting in it watching you all the time? What are we doing, y'all? Are we not focused and paying attention? Do you think your neighborhood is really that safe? I guess that's probably why Rock is looking for another house anyway, we saw in the previous episode. So meanwhile, Lou and Crown, they have some music guy. I think it's a DJ listening to Ziza singing Jukebox song. And Lou is so excited. He's comparing her to these other female artists like Tracy Spencer and Pebbles. And then Crown jumps in and calls Lou his money guy. Basically disrespecting Lou, in some kind of way with the other guy. And then he tells this guy that they need him to introduce Ziza to the world. And then he asked the guy to step outside of his office to talk alone, because the guy was saying his spins cost money. So if you want me to spin this record in there, you got to pay me. So when they get out in the hallway, Crown talking shit about Lou, although Lou can't hear them. Lou knows and feels something is up. So they finally leave that place and they're walking through the parking garage, and Crown is talking mess to Lou about how he needs to learn how to talk to these people and all this stuff. And Lou turned around and punched him dead in his mouth, knocking him to the ground. I said, oh, snap. And Lou says, now, was that enough punch for you? Was that light enough for you? And he said, just because a gangster, just because you make gangster music don't make you a gangster. And then Crown is getting up, he got a gun in his hand, and Lou looked at him and said, don't told him, don't he ever pull a gun unless he plans on using it. And Crown says, who said I'm not going to use it? And Lou got right up in his face and said, I said, nigga. I said, oh, okay. I was like, okay. I was like, and you know what? Crown looked around and he sure didn't use it either. Then we got Rock. She trying to do some small talk with Kanan in the car, but Kanan ain't even interested in talking to her because he's still hearing what that cop said to him, Detective Howard. So he's realizing she's not telling the truth about some stuff, and he's feeling some kind of way. So they did a little bit, like a minute of small talk, and then he asked to turn the radio back on. I said, oh snap. Rock is like, okay, So then we had the scene with Miss Renee meeting with Marvin outside of the group, trying to get him to participate in class. And I'm like, oh, Miss Renee, sometimes when they looking at each other, it look like she like interested in Marvin. Let me know down in the comment section if you think I'm wrong. But sometimes it's something about the way she stares at Marvin, like he intrigues her. I don't know. But anyway, she told him that she would have to tell the judge that he's not holding up his end of the deal. And if she does that, he'll throw him back in jail. So he's like, well, what the bleep do you want from me? And she said, to tell me something about yourself that, that I don't know. Something that matters and when said out loud makes you feel vulnerable, she said. And so he's looking at her. Then he tells her that he has a daughter and says she doesn't want to speak to him anymore because he did something that she'll never forgive him for. And he added that he's a effed up father and a dumb mother effer. I said to him, at least he know what he is. He cracks me up. And he's a comedian, I think, in real life, but he is good at this role, that he plays. I like Marvin's role. Anyway, let's see what else is going on. We got Kanan and Rock. They show up at the campsite and he meets a young white girl named Hannah, and they chat in the while Rock is checking in, and she glances over at them, a few times, just making sure everything's going okay. And we then see a scene where Jukebox steps to Ziza, and that she stepped to Ziza about stealing her song. She wrote the song, what I said, the song that she wrote for herself, and we find out that Lou is the one who gave it to her, because Ziza says Lou gave it to me and never told me that it was yours, Jukebox. And then she asked, well, how do you even know where I live? Because she was like, how do you know where I live? And Jukebox making that face. She said, Crown told me, So Juke got mad and walks away. Now, I can't let the scene go by without saying that it was filmed down the block from my church in Harlem. This is a very historic block. If you watch the show, it's a historic block, and it's called Strivers Row. And there's only 2 of those blocks in Harlem where there used to be, and back in the days, wealthy, influential black families lived on. And there actually used to be horse stables back behind them in that area as well. So I was like, okay, I like that they picked another area in Harlem for the show. So next we see that Marvin has tracked down Tony. And Tony, if y'all forgot, is the one who was the informant for the cops and got Marvin arrested. So while watching her, an officer, he's watching her shop. I don't know how he located her. He's watching her shop, and an officer knocks on the window and asks what he's doing. And Marvin made up some quick bull crap story about him just having a long drive, and he wanted to stop and eat his potato chips and rest for a minute before he started again. So the officer left him alone. And then Marvin followed Tony to her house and to see where she lived. Meanwhile, Jukebox stopped by the studio and let Lou know how she felt about him stealing her song and giving it to Ziza. And he apologized to her and tried to explain how the music biz goes, with knowing what material goes with which artist. And he then added that, he effed up and this. And he said, Juke, she was upset. She said, yeah, you did. And he said, there's nothing wrong with getting a songwriting credit. That's real money out there, and Juke just rolled her eyes and walked out. She was pissed because she probably wrote that song from her heart and she wanted to sing it for her, Anyhow, next we see Detective Howard's partner harassing Andrea. Andrea is the hooker. I don't know if she's a hooker in real life or what, but she's the one Detective Howard been sleeping with, and she wants her to share info with her about him, or else she gonna call child welfare and tell them that she out there tricking and has a young son, and they'll take him from her and put him in foster care real quick. So Andrea got nervous because remember she said she'd do anything for her son, and she started talking. She started telling things. I mean, he don't tell me anything, and she was telling him, she mentioned he wanted to make a better life for him and his son, who he just found out about, and that he's a teenager, and his partner is getting on I'm telling you, her eyebrows going up like a sun, she's like, he just found out, and she working my last damn nerve. That Detective Burke is working my last damn nerve. She need to get a freaking life and keep out of his. You know what I mean? Am I wrong about that? I mean, why is his private life any of her damn business when she was hiding her gayism or whatever, lesbianism or whatever? Because that girl, her friend, ex-girlfriend said, I used to be your secret. So what's the problem? So I don't get it. I think this is wrong all the way. She's young. He's seasoned. How are they allowing her to go through his personal stuff? Anyway, then we got Kanan. He leaves Rock by the campfire to go to the store for a soda. And he sees Hannah. And he was like, I was hoping I'd run into you. And she asked him if he had some time. And they go out back and start smoking weed that one of her friends was growing in their yard. And then the racist guy was following him and watching Kanan while the other guy goes over to the campfire to kill Rock. But he's unable to kill Rock because another camper comes by with his son asking for some wood for their fire. Then Rock realizes it's getting late. Where's Kanan? She left them there and went looking for Kanan. And she showed up to that store just in time to catch that racist guy cussing at Kanan, who is he was about to kiss Hannah. Kanan was about to kiss Hannah, and that white guy he interjected because he don't think black and white should mix at all. So Rock checked that white guy and then laid into Kanan as they were walking back to their cabin. She said, how many times am I going to have to tell you that white girls will get you killed? That's the way it's always been and how it will always be. Then she added to stay the F away from her. And I was like, oh, Lord. And Kanan looked like a sad puppy. I tell you, he looked like a real sad puppy walking away while he was walking behind Rock while she was yelling at him. Meanwhile, the racist white guy, he's giving Hannah a little speech and stuff about black people or something. She let him know she's not his daughter and that he's a effing dick. I said, oh, snap. She was so mad. She wanted to get her some. You messed up Hannah, little white Hannah, getting her some dog chocolate, So the racist goes back to the cabin and tells his wild version of what happened. And the other guy reminded him that we don't kill kids. It's bad for business and for karma. And then we learned that they are working with Sal. Because I figured that's who it was, but it was never really said out loud. And then Rock apologizes later to Kanan for yelling at him, saying that she got scared. And then, saying that he looked like he was ready to hem him up. And he was. And then they made some s'mores together, and she then gave him something strong to drink, and he was like choking on it. And then, she talks to him about being the heir to their drug throne if he wants it. And Kanan admits that he wasn't sure at first, but now he knows he wants to be down with the family business. I said, oh, damn, poor Kanan. Anyway, then we got Detective Howard watching Rock's house. He sees jukebox, and he asks her, where's Kanan? And she trying to walk past him like she don't see him. She doesn't tell him anything. She said something smart, cursing at him. And meanwhile, Rock and Kanan drive deep into the woods, and she shows him the body in the trunk, and they dig a hole and bury the body. And Kanan was a little shocked or thrown back by it, but he did it because he wanted to be a part of the family business now, So now we have Famous shows up to the studio asking about getting back in the booth, asking Lou. And he tells all he knows about his sister and Crown kicking it, and he didn't know. He got such a big damn mouth. He was telling everything. Whether Lou knew or not, Lou said he already knew, but I'm not sure he really knew. He could have suspected, but now he had confirmation, if you ask me. But he said he knew about them and told Famous to go write some good lyrics and he'll put him back in the booth. How many damn times he got to tell him that? His sister told him Lou said that. Lou told him Lou said that. Lou told him again. It's like, write the daggone lyrics. Even Crown said when he knew that he was homeless, he said that's the issue you should be writing about, Famous. That's what you should be writing about. And now here it is, my favorite part of the episode, honey, y'all. Oh, when Jukebox is sitting in the pews at her mother's church during their choir rehearsal with her hair all out and wearing a dress with a jean jacket. And her mother's leading the song, Mary, Don't You Weep. Mary, don't you weep. Woo, honey. Then Kenya suggests to the choir director, Mr. Stevens, that he should hear her daughter sing. So Mr. Stevens tells Laverne that Kenya blows the doors off this church. Well, he said, we gonna see what you got. Well, Lord have mercy. Oh, Laverne sang the roof off. Her mother might have sang the doors off, but Laverne sang the roof off that darn church with over 2 minutes of singing that same song. Mary, Don't You Weep. She wore it out, and I'm going to see if I can attach it without getting any kind of copyright claim. I want to attach it because she sang the mess out of that song. Oh, Jesus. Then we had the female Malcolm is sleeping with. She tells him what his partner wanted to know about him and what she said she would do to her if she didn't start telling her something. And well, when she tells Malcolm she mentioned his son, he got so upset with her. He got so upset that he asked her, doesn't she have a damn confidentiality clause in her line of business that says shut the F up? Then he said she had to go, that they were done. And she kept apologizing, but he didn't care. She was like, Malcolm, you can't be serious. Malcolm, you can't. He was like, get out. He was pissed, but he said, don't y'all have a confidentiality clause in your line of business? We talking people business? Damn. Anyhow, it's morning and Sal's boys make their moves again on Rock after Kanan went to turn in those keys. But before leaving, Rock told him to stay away from that white girl. And once again, Kanan didn't listen. And the racist guy watched him go inside of the store with Hannah. The one going after Rock had his gun out going into Rock's cabin, but she was hiding and came up behind him and put a knife to his throat and told him to drop his gun. She said she didn't want to kill him because then didn't want any problems with Sal. But then Hannah ran in there to her yelling, help, help, he's going to kill Kanan. And she pushed him and ran, and they get there in time to see the racist, which the other guy made him promise, remember, not to harm Kanan and to just run interference. But that guy didn't listen either. So he was pointing his gun. He was beating Kanan up, and he pointed his gun to shoot Kanan. And Rock got in there, but I don't know. Before she could get over to him, his partner, the laid-back Italian, shot him in the leg first, and he fell to the floor. So Rock said, okay, there's a deal to be made between her and Sal, but right now, she and her son are getting out of there. And he said, what about her? Talking about Hannah. And Rock said, she ain't going to talk. She ain't going to talk because if she does, his people and her people going to come after Hannah and her people. I said, okay, that's a lot of people and stuff, you know? And then meanwhile, the racist is on the floor saying, you should have shot them. You should have shot them both. I said, damn, he's so messed up. You know what I mean? And it ends with Rock and Kanan driving off as, you know, in quiet or silence as he asks her, who were they? And she said, it don't matter. Then she said something I couldn't really hear really well, but it sounded like she said they will be dealt with. So that is how it ended. It was a good episode. I enjoyed this episode as well. And for those of you, you know, who watch the show, write down in the comment section how you felt. And I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.